Welcome to the 1958 Lawyer, the show for attorneys who know the old model isn't working anymore. The billable hour, the 12-hour day, the expensive office no one visits. Your hosts Ron Boxtaller and Clinton Ind are here to question all of that and more by exploring smarter, healthier, more flexible ways to run a law firm. No more burnout, no more outdated expectations, just real conversations with attorneys who are proving there's a better way. If you're ready to build a law firm that's profitable and livable, you're in the right place. Now here are your hosts, Ron and Clinton.
Okay, welcome to the show. I'm your host and the founder of Amada, Ron Boxtaller, along with my co-host and business partner, Clinton Ind. Clint, how are we doing today?
I think we're doing great, Ron. I'm very excited about today. As we know, Ricardo has a lot of great information to give and a lot of great insight into the practice of law and the business of law. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
So, Ricardo, welcome to the show. Let's start off a quick introduction about yourself, type of law you practice, and kind of your little background, where you came from.
Hi, Ron. Clint, thank you both for having me on the show. I'm very excited to come in here and have that conversation with you, the both of you. So yes, my name is Ricardo Santiago. I am a family law attorney, and I started my own firm. It's been around for about 9 months. And right now, the main focus of the firm is family law and working with traditionally underserved communities.
That's good, because we want to talk about how you are able to serve the underserved communities, but still make and have a profitable law firm to support your family. I think that's kind of a tricky slope. So let's start right there. Like family law, you're going after the clients that are generally being ignored by many of the other firms. How are you doing it? And are you working on a special pay structure, or are you just, a lot of clients? What's the secret sauce here?
I think the secret is the moment in time that we find ourselves in. It's a paradigm shift, and you just have to be able to take advantage of the opportunities available. Right now, the traditional model for family law firms is the billable hour, which, brings us back to the name of the show itself, which is, why that billable hour exists to begin with. But yes, right now, the main model that firms use, the billable hour, and you can have lawyers in Chicago that charge somewhere from around 300 upwards to like 600 or more per hour. And that's about the range that you see. So if I were to get divorced, I probably would not be able to afford a lawyer myself, is what you hear a lot of lawyers say, I would not be able to afford my divorce lawyer. So you start to think, okay, is there a better way to do this? And so either you have the money to go ahead and hire a law firm, or you don't have the money and you turn to legal aid. Now, one of the issues that you find is that if you turn to legal aid, it's free as long as you fall within certain guidelines. So in other words, if you make a certain amount of money, then you don't qualify for legal aid.
I'm sure that's a low threshold, right? That's not a big threshold.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Correct. And so that makes it really difficult, because that leaves most of the population without access to a law firm because they cannot afford it, and outside of legal aid because they make too much. But they still have those legal needs. They still have the need for legal services. So then what is the solution? There are a few things coming into play here. So Illinois law provides for flat fee as a method of payment. It allows for things such as unbundled services and limited scope representation. Those are great. And the state of Illinois is trying to get these methods of representation to be accessible for everyone. However, there are some issues, and there's a reason you don't see these very often, and that is because a lot of times they either tend to be not profitable or come with risks for lawyers. And so I know a lot of lawyers shy away from unbundled services and limited scope representation, because if you take a client and you say, I'm only going to help you with this one specific thing, the clients will say, well, I don't know how to do the rest. How am I going to do that? that seems like a waste of money for me to just come in, you help me with this one thing, and I still have the bigger problem. If you're doing flat fees by themselves, it could also become a problem. Because if, for example, you're doing a divorce in Illinois and the parties are very litigious, it's a very contested case, and you charge the flat fee, and then all of a sudden you have all this work that you need to do, well, then it's not profitable for the firm because now you have to stick with the engagement agreement that you signed. And so you see a lot of firms who say, I'm not doing flat fees. I am not doing limited scope representation. This is the worst. Billable hour. And then back restarted.
It's funny, you brought it up a minute ago, 1958 lawyer, where we got our name from. The billable hour has been around that long. Is it time for a change? What is that, 60? I don't know. The math's not very good. It's 60
A lot of years.
plus years that we've been doing it the same way. So it's interesting we're bringing it up. Now, you mentioned that state of Illinois allows flat fee and then limited representation. So all states don't allow that?
So I am not sure about all the states. I'm sure most of the states have some similar method. And the real driver behind all of this is that there's a huge shortage of lawyers, which you wouldn't think of.
I've never heard that. Yeah, I've never heard anybody say that ever.
Words have never been uttered before.
You're the first person.
I remember taking the train when I was younger, before I even went to law school, before I even considered going to law school. I took the train, and the train was going in front of the Harold Washington Library, which in Chicago, which, if you can, picture that, is right in front. You can look down the street where John Marshall used to be, John Marshall Law School. It's now part of UIC. And I remember two lawyers talking to one another on the train saying, you see that school right there? They're just pumping a lot of lawyers. There's too many lawyers. The market is saturated with lawyers. But Ron, Clint, less than 0.4% of the population in the United States are lawyers. And that includes judges.
0.04%. Is that what that is?
I mean, there's different statistics, right? Wherever you look, but that's around where the number is. And that includes judges, that includes prosecutors, that includes law clerks, that includes criminal law attorneys and civil practice lawyers. And so if you look at private practice, the number is smaller, of course, like something like 0.35. If you look at civil practice alone, that's somewhere along the lines of 0.2. So it's a very small number of lawyers.
Yeah,
and then
we need more lawyers. I agree. We do. We need more lawyers.
For the civil practice, that includes things like your family law, your personal injury, your intellectual property, your education, employment law, all of these things. So if you really look at the actual practice area, the number becomes incredibly small. And then you find that a lot of lawyers tend to go to the cities, to the larger cities, Chicago, in Illinois, for example, Rockford, Springfield. But a lot of states have this problem where the rural areas are being left without lawyers. In Illinois, there is a program called the Rural Program Initiative. I believe I'm getting the name right, where they're trying to incentivize lawyers to go and practice in rural areas because there is that huge shortage of lawyers. So when you ask me, is this a problem that you see in other states? I think so. I think you have the same problem in Illinois. I mean, I know a number of other states do have this problem. And so when you're trying to figure out who you're going to serve, you look at some of the rural Illinois areas, and in Illinois, many of those counties, they have one or two private practice attorneys for the entire county. And those lawyers, they're usually in their 50s, 60s, 70s, about to retire. I just heard a couple of months ago that Hardin County in Southern Illinois, they just lost their only civil practice attorney that's in private practice.
They have a county courthouse, obviously, right? They have a courthouse and no civil practice attorneys.
Correct.
That's fascinating.
Well, we're not even talking about the worst part is all those attorneys are generalists, right? So they're not specific. We all live in the city, big city, where everyone's a specialist. Ricardo, you're family law attorney. You're not really dealing with probate work. or as a
Right.
general rule. I think it becomes a bigger issue when you start talking to attorneys that are trying to be a generalist and know a little bit about everything. The quality of the practice goes down.
Yes. If you're looking for very detailed work. But here's the thing where it becomes important to see where the opportunities lie. Because if you are dealing with a high net worth client, for example, yes, you're going to need that specialized knowledge, right? Because you have something very specific and you need to deal with it. If you look at a lot of the legal aid models, they give their clients just the tools they need to solve their legal problems. And if you're looking at individuals without a lot of assets, without a lot of um, uh, complex matters, then you find that yes, you can still be a specialist in your area, but the issues are not as big. And a lot of the problem that we have is the lack of knowledge, the lack of education for the general public as to what a legal issue actually is. So most people don't know. Most people's problems are not within the substantive law, but within the procedural law, where they say, "I have this problem. I don't even know where to start."
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We learned that. I remember learning that at the start of my practice. We had one older counsel at my firm, and there were two aspects to his whole practice. One was if you can't beat him on substance, then beat him on procedure, right? And vice versa. If you can't beat him on procedure, beat him on substance. The procedure and the Code of Civil Procedure, we've talked on the show a little bit with other attorneys about, how you can use it to really formulate your own specialized practice and use it in a way that makes your type of practice unique. But it is a very detailed code, and it is very difficult and daunting to anybody who doesn't know it for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Ricardo, let's jump in. You're a bilingual attorney.
Yes.
And I know just from, the motto when we're out hiring paralegals and admins and trying to find qualified, candidates that are bilingual, which is a big challenge. I got to think it's an even bigger challenge to find, attorneys that are bilingual that can support the need to be bilingual. So can you talk a little bit what you're seeing out there as far as, competitors, I guess if you call competitors, other attorneys doing what you're doing, and how are you how are you networking with other attorneys to share caseload?
Yes. So you're correct. There's not a lot of bilingual lawyers out there. And here's the thing, it's not just the bilingual part of it, it's also the bicultural part of it. And so, yes, you have a lot of lawyers who speak Spanish or different languages, but to be able to connect with the people that you're trying to serve who speak Spanish, it's not just the language barrier, it's the cultural barrier, right? And here's a really good example. I heard that another lawyer, English speaking lawyer, American lawyer, in another state, mentioned. I think it was a LinkedIn post. I believe they said, uh, for your divorce, you don't want to hire a pit bull lawyer. You want to hire a fox who's going to be in there and calculating and be able to get you the result that you want without the fight. And I say, okay, so what if that lawyer is making the same pitch to a Hispanic community? Well, within the Hispanic community, you look at a fox and you look at the fox as a deceitful animal, someone who you cannot trust, right? And
Now we're talking
Yeah.
about the attorneys I know.
and so
Present company accepted, of course.
right. And so that is, it's not just the language. It really has to be the culture as well that you have to consider. So as far as my clients and my colleagues, I do have these conversations every now and then. I do go out to lunch with other lawyers. I actually went to lunch with a friend of mine from law school, maybe 3-4 months ago, and we were having this same discussion where she told me, "How are you getting your clients?" Because she's Colombian, and she tells me, I am reaching out to people, and every now and then I get a client who will, ask me for referrals, and I'll give out the referrals, but I don't. I don't know if they're actually going to call because they're mistrustful of lawyers. And I tell her, well, you have to develop that credibility within the cultural, through the cultural lens, because that's what's going to get you the credibility. It's not just that you speak Spanish, because if you go to a large enough law firm, they will have law clerks, they will have paralegals, legal assistants who speak Spanish, but not the actual lawyer. So how do you as a lawyer get that client to trust you? Well, you show that cultural competency. In my case, for example, I started posting on Instagram. And at first, it was just a little experiment. I started posting things in Spanish to the Spanish audience. And I said, I'm going to post my scheduling link for consultations. I put it on Instagram and I go to sleep. Next thing I know, my calendar is like booked from people who need those services because I'm explaining things. Right now, I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not putting out substantive law in the sense that in a way that would get me in trouble with the ARDC. I'm presenting legal information, which you can present legal information without giving legal advice. But once you make it simple, once you explain it in a way that people can look at it, take it in, digest it, and understand it, then they'll look at you and they'll say, that person knows what they're talking about, even though it's like the simplest thing you can say in front of a screen. And so that's what I was explaining to my client. Look, if you can just let the average person know in very simple terms what the law is or what the process is or what it is they need to do, what is the next step that they need to take, you can begin to develop that sense of confidence in you.
So I want to roll this back because you got a solid book of business is what I'm hearing. And you've picked up that business by first building your credibility within the community that you're focused on through social media.
So yes and no. I am purposely trying to keep the book of business a little lean right now because I'm trying to take the firm in a different direction. Right now, the firm is mostly virtual. Like I said, it's only 9 months old, so it just started. I don't want to fill my business, my book of business, with traditional cases, because remember, that's what we're trying to get away from, traditional cases. And so, I'll also say I'm expecting a baby in the coming months. So I'm also trying to not get.
Yeah, you don't want to have too much of a book while you're changing diapers.
Right. But yes, the goal is going to be to take advantage of technology so that we're able to take on more clients and help them in the way that they need to be helped without taking up all of my time, right? Because again, if you look back at the billable hour model, how do you make money? You bill a lot of hours.
Right.
You spend 10, 15 hours at the office. And that's not what we want to do. We do want to take up advantage of the flat fees. We do want to take opportunity of advantage of the limited scope representation where possible. But at the same time, we want to educate people, give them the opportunity to handle things themselves to the extent possible, while still providing them legal services, legal advice, legal products, even, and retaining time for myself. In my case, once the firm scales, any attorney that comes and work for me, I want them to also be able to have that time with their family, not be tied to a billable hour requirement.
Ricardo, you just made this a really special show because you just went into some business strategy for a solo practicing law firm. And we had Pat Cotter on the show not too far ago, a couple weeks ago. And Pat had just retired. And one of the things, Clinton, you remember we talked about technology, AI, because we're out talking to our clients about LexisNexis AI. And, we host office hours to have some of our young attorneys come in and understand what it is. And a lot of them are just afraid of it. And one thing that Pat really hit on was plaintiff attorneys are all over this technology. And for the one primary reason, they're not billing by the hour.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Clinton, what's your thoughts on that?
It's the efficiency. I mean, I think everything you're talking about, Ricardo, is fascinating because what I'm hearing is, you're still employing all the different potential revenue models for your firm, but your big difference is the use of technology to be massively efficient so that you can take a flat fee case and still be profitable, right? So you're not stuck at a loss, like you said at the start of this episode. You can do a discrete task, and through your ability to do that quickly, you can be profitable with that task. And even if you're billing hours at a much lower rate, I'm assuming because of the different model that you're using, you can still be profitable because you're using technology to get those out. Is that a fair assessment of where you're at in your practice?
Yes, that is correct. In the coming months, I am looking to rely on technology even more so to hopefully ditch the billable hour altogether.
Mm.
Big
Yes.
move. Ricardo, can you share with us some of the technology, like the tech stacks that you're looking at? Because I think I read somewhere that you mentioned, maybe it's on your website, that you don't got to start off with a complicated tech stack, but you can gradually build up to. And it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yes, that is correct. So you don't need a whole lot if you're, just going out on your own, starting solo law firm. You don't need a lot of tech. You just need basic Office 365 software to be able to, do the work, your computer. But then you can automate so many things. In my case, for example, I don't even pick up the phone for clients, and it's like, wait, what? The first thing you see when you jump on LinkedIn and look at all these successful lawyers, your phone has to be ringing. Your phone has to be ringing.
Yeah.
It's a way of saying you need to be getting clients in the door, right? But I don't literally. My phone actually doesn't ring that much because all of my leads are funneled through a scheduling link. And so in my case, I use Calendly, which is, a lot of people use Clio. They have the same services. But if you're using Clio, then you're looking at a more robust tech stack. And if you're just starting, Calendly is perfect, or any competitor for Calendly. But if you go to my website, you find my link. I don't think you even see my phone number on my website, but you see my scheduling link. And if you go through the scheduling link, it has my intake as part of the link. And so
Okay.
I don't need to pick up the phone, spend an hour doing intake. I don't need to have an assistant doing intake on the phone. And so that does several things for me. One, reduces overhead. But two, if the client is sophisticated enough to be able to answer a few questions on the computer, that tells me that they are also going to be able to receive things from me via email. I'm going to be able to communicate with them virtually, not have to put things in the mail, have them walk into the office, which is great. It's great to have people come into the office, talk to them, and meet them in person. And I do have an office space. If I need to meet with clients, I use it sparingly. But a lot of the work is reduced by people having access to me via my scheduling link.
Well, it's a great
And
idea too, because it like vets, in my mind, what I hear is it's an automatic vet of the seriousness of the client as well, right? You don't have to spend an hour just making sure that they actually want or need representation. They're filling out a form and you vetted them without even talking.
that is
Even
correct.
even before that, he's decided on who his clientele is, and he could
Hmm.
focus on, this is who I'm going after. I'm not going to go after the broad swath of the market. I'm going to go after this specific group, and I'm going to do really, really good with this group. And like I said, moving away from the billable hour, it sounds like a great, great idea, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yes, that is the goal. So far, it's working. I started doing free consultations, but give them access to the link. It filled up really quickly. I started charging a little bit now to start to weed out a little bit more people. Uh, the reason, again, have any addition to the family coming, so I'm trying to stay a little bit under the radar for now, and so that I'm able to have a little bit of a life. But no, once baby's sleeping through the night, I'm definitely going to be pushing this a little bit more, being a little bit more aggressive on the
Oh, that's
marketing.
easy. I think that's
But
2 weeks
it's
in.
not,
About 2 weeks in,
yeah.
Ricardo. You'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah.
It took you that long, Clinton? I mean, I think all 6 of mine. I mean, the first couple of days, I'm back to sleeping just fine.
Right, right.
Ricardo, I want to give you a couple kudos. I know there's not enough teachers out there, and you're one of them. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing there with the paralegal program that you were nice enough to have Clinton and I come on and talk to some of your paralegals in class. Give us an idea how that started and what you're doing and what's the need right now in the market for paralegals.
There's a big need. I have this pet peeve that this idea, if you will, too, that support staff makes or breaks the business, whether it's a firm, some other legal business. Support staff, and not even legal, anywhere. You go to the doctor's office, receptionist, whoever is going to be helping you. Support staff makes or breaks the business. Not even thinking, not even thinking about the substance of the law or their training, but just making great persons. And so I worked as a paralegal myself. I worked as a legal assistant before going to law school. So I have been in those shoes. And when I graduated from high school, I went to a community college. I went to Wright College. And so I got to see a lot of students struggling to make it out, make it through the education system. Then I went to a public school. I went to a private school for a little bit, but I didn't graduate from there. I graduated from Northeastern Illinois University. Then I ended up at Chicago Kent College of Law, which is a private school. And then I ended up working at one of the largest family law firms in Chicago. Really in the entire country, if you think about it, the family law is not, you don't see really large law firms. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you can come out of a community college and end up in some of the largest law firms, in some of the more prestigious firms within your field. And so when I decided that I wanted to teach, I knew that I wanted to go back to a place where students would see a professor who looks like them, who went through the same process that they are going through, and know that they can come out on the other side successful. Now, again, having my own practice, the goal, expand eventually, it shows them that they can also do it, that there's really nothing stopping them from being able to achieve their goals, whether that be stay as a paralegal, go to law school, become a judge, whatever they want to do.
That's fascinating. It's a noble exercise you're doing for sure. And it's, having been on a class with you, it's really great to see how the students respond to you. And I mean, you're clearly going above and beyond by bringing in, namely Ron and myself, experts in amazing in fields to really help to educate them. So yeah, it's a really great thing. And it's a testament to you and I mean, you're bringing the profession up generally, I think. So that's great.
As soon as we stop talking to your class, the first thing Clinton says, I got to be able to teach.
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, that's the other thing. It's so fun and it was such a release. And, especially your class, I don't know if that was a unique class, but they seemed eager and they seemed responsive and they seemed like they were just soaking it all in and any information they could get was really, they were grateful for it seemingly. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, the legal profession, I think, for too long has been seen as this unattainable profession. It has been seen as this unreachable, untouchable profession. I remember growing up and working at law firms. Even while I was working with the law firm, I still didn't feel comfortable going out to some of the other attorneys, some of the partners. It's just an intimidating setting. But showing the students like, hey, no, look, it's okay. You can do all these things. They're just another person like you, and here are the tools for you to be able to reach out to them, to be able to be one of them and stand at the same level as they can. I think students really appreciate that. I think students really respond well to that. And I thank you both for having come to my class and talked to them. I know many of them were so impressed and so thankful for both of you.
It was great. We actually got a couple of them reach back out on follow-ups. So that was very impressive. We like to see those things.
Yeah.
As we're kind of winding down, we want to talk about a couple of things that you would, we got a lot of young attorneys or people getting ready to become attorneys listening to the show. A couple of pieces of advice or how to get started. What would you throw out there? Kind of as you've gone through it recently. What do you want to give them? Let's leave them with something.
Yes. First, figure out why you want to go on your own. I think that's a question everyone has to ask themselves. Do you want to be an employee? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you want the freedom? And whatever your answer is there a way to get that without opening your own firm? And if there's a way to get it without opening your firm, consider that first. If you are looking for work-life balance, for example, well, can you get that without opening your firm? Because chances are you're going to be spending a lot of time working on the back end of things. Opening a firm is a business, right? It's yes, you are a practicing attorney. You will be doing work, substantive legal practice, but at the same time, it is a business, and you're going to have to treat it like one. And if that's how you want to proceed, then run all the numbers that you can think of. Not just how much you're going to charge, how much you're going to make, but also how much things are going to cost. How long is it going to take? Where are you going to be getting your clients from? Everything that you can think of, try and work on that first, and then make the decision. Okay, after looking at all the numbers, after considering all these different factors, do I still want to open my own firm? And I've actually met people who went through that process and they said, no, you know what, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in law school, I had this conversation with a lawyer who opened up a axe throwing business. And he said, yeah, no, I decided I didn't want to open my own firm, and I didn't want to be at that firm where I was anymore. So I just opened a business where people go in and they throw axes.
Get rid of your aggressions. I've taken some of my kids axe throwing. Yeah. It's actually a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. Yes.
That's a big leap from I don't want to stop my own fun, but axe throwing, absolutely. Why not?
Good.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I like working nights. And there's not much drinking in those places, so it's a little under control.
Sure.
You talked a little bit misconceptions. You gave us a little bit before the show talking about misconceptions. What are a couple of misconceptions that you want to let's put them out there right now so people stop thinking about them?
Yes. So you don't need a lot of money to start. If you have a computer that's with basic software, again, Word, Excel, you're probably just about fine to go on your own. Of course, it depends on the type of practice, right? If you're doing something like personal injury and you're going to be taking medical malpractice cases, then yeah, you might need to have some money to the side for experts and what have you. So that's like a special situation, right? But if you're doing some other type of practice, like family law, in my case, you don't really need much. You don't even need an entity name, right? Because you can just go and practice under your own name.
Of course.
And this was a decision that I had to make when I started myself. Like, do I even want the entity name? Because if you're going off as a solo and you start with an LLC, for example, yes, technically it's an entity of its own, and this is not legal advice. I'll preface this that way. But the corporate veil is probably not going to protect you if you are the only member of your company, right? Because you're still the sole decision maker, and it's going to be really easy to pierce the corporate veil. So you just spent money and effort and time to create that entity that's not going to protect you.
We got to get you on with Gary Savine, our next guest next week. I'll push back on that. This is not legal advice, and I'm not even an attorney. I'm just the CEO of an organization that's worked with thousands of law firms. I have a client, she just passed away 2 weeks ago and had not incorporated, and it's a nightmare in probate. If you're not incorporated, it leaves the contracts you had sitting out there prior to. The estate now owes on those contracts. There's no getting out of them because it wasn't a separate LLC. So I'd kind of push back on that, looking at that a little further on making sure you do incorporate. I highly recommend anyone does. That's probably my first thing. I want to find that job, that start where I don't got to have a lot of money. And I agree with you. You know, you're already an attorney, so you've already spent an ungodly amount of money just becoming an attorney. You can actually start. I think the biggest thing for attorneys starting off is, you know, getting clients. That's kind of like, how do I build that client base? You know, at Amada, we sponsor a program. You went to Chicago, Kent. They have an incubator program there. It lasts a year. When you get out, you can join the incubator program for the last 12, 14 years. I've been involved with that incubator program at Amada, offering them free services, whatever they need. It's office space, it's virtual, it's a phone number. We give that to them for free so they can get that first year under the belt without having the cost of doing any of those things. And it's been amazing to me, some of the attorneys we've seen come out of that, as I look back, they've been with us 10 years, and how they've progressed and developed and grew their firm in a very smart, economical way. And now they're living a great life, like a full balanced life, and enjoying the practice of law without getting burnt out. So that's kind of a couple of things I would add there, that there's a lot of ways to do it. So I totally agree with that portion of it.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Yes.
Awesome. Last word, I'll leave Clinton. You got anything you want to finalize? I'll call that my last word. I'll shut up. What else you want to finish up with?
No, I think it's great. I mean, it's really an amazing thing when, you know, attorneys graduate, they realize they don't want to be at a big firm, and they've got this entrepreneurial spirit, this desire to help people who are, especially like you, Ricardo, who have identified a market of people who have otherwise not been served and really want to go out and serve them. So I just love talking to people like you. I love the entrepreneurial spirit, and especially that method you've found of being able to live a full life and a happy life and a happy practice of law. So congratulations to you. It's really fantastic. I'd love to have you on in 9 months after your baby is sleeping and after you've built out this tech stack and this new AI to see how things are going. It'd be great.
Oh, I'd agree. That was right on my list. Is like, we want to get you back on the show, see where you're at 9, 12, 10 months or 10 months from now. And let's see what you're saying then, because I think you're going to see some great success is how I feel where you're going. So Santiago, you got the last word? Santiago, Ricardo, God, Clinton, what'd you just do?
I did that. I know.
No, thank you. No, thank you both for having me. This was great. Again, I'm super excited to see where this goes. 9, 12 months, I'm pretty sure we'll be doing well. If everything's going the same direction that it's going now, we'll definitely be fine. And we'd love to talk to you guys again here on the show. I'm definitely looking forward to staying in touch with both of you outside of the show. And thank you again for having me. This was great.
Ricardo, you're a special person. Thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. You got a friend in life for life with Clinton, myself, and Amada. So love to see you. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week. Our special guest, Gary Savine, who I'm going to add, has been with Amada just over 10 years as a client. And we're going to be talking about how to hold on to your success when employees turn on you. So Gary does employment labor practice, specializes in working with law firms. So join us next week. We appreciate it, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the 1958 Lawyer. If you like the show, tell a friend, and please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to hear more about Ron, Clinton, or Amada, go to amataoffices.com. That's amataoffices.com. All the links are also in the show notes.